we all still wear through the storm, through the fight, searching for hope in the dead of night. No more hiding, no more shame. Face the fire, call the name. Lessons learned, stories told. Rise again from the ashes cold. Tuesday talk, light in the dark, where the broken find their spark. Tales of pain, but we still stand, side by side, hand in hand. Tuesday talk, light in the dark, where the broken find their spark. Tales of pain, but we still stand, side by side, hand in hand. Stand side by side, hand in hand. Shadows whisper, demons call, but we refuse to lose it all. Every fall, every tear, built the strength that brought us here. We are warriors, we are fire. Turn the hurt into desire. Not alone, never lost. One more chance, no matter the cost. Tuesday talk, light in the dark, where the broken find their spark. Tales of pain, but we still stand, side by side, hand in hand.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Tuesday Talk presented by Safe 22. For those of you joining for the first time, Tuesday Talk is about a place for real conversations. Nothing scripted, nothing polished, nothing fake. We're here to talk about real experiences, first responders, supporters, and folks who are making an impact in their own way. Safe 22 exists to raise awareness and support for veteran suicide prevention. The number 22 represents the lives we've lost, brothers and sisters who mattered, who served, and who were loved. But what we focus on here isn't just a number. We focus on the people, the stories, and the reminder that help, connection, and purpose still exist. This isn't about being polished and perfect. I'm not a professional YouTuber. We're not social media experts. What we are is a group of people willing to show up and have honest conversations, sometimes uncomfortable ones, because those are the ones that matter. Every guest who joins us brings a story. Some are veterans, some are first responders, some support the community in ways you might never see on camera. And sometimes they don't even realize the impact that they're making, but they are. If you're watching today and you're struggling, I want you to hear this clearly. You are not weak. You are not broken, and you're alone. Asking for help is not a failure. It's a skill. And it's one many of us had to learn the hard way. If you're here to listen, learn, feel connected for an hour your place. And if something you hear today resonates with you, I encourage you to share it. You never know who might need to hear it. They say history doesn't repeat itself, but it often rhymes. Over the last 48 hours, the world has watched in awe as a massive combat search and rescue operation pulled an F-15E crew out of hostile territory in Iran. It was a masterclass in modern technology, satellite precision, and nerves of steel. But long before the GPS and the A-10 escorts of today, there were airmen who had to rely on little more than instinct, grit, and the hands of fate. Today, we are joined by a man who lived through one of the most harrowing survivals in Air Force history. In April 1975, Snedegar was the first flight of Operation Babylift. When his C-5 lost all flight controls at 23,000 feet, The world watched a different kind of miracle unfold in a South Vietnamese rice paddy. Ray has spent decades processing that day, the loss, the survival, and the lessons learned. And he's going to join us today to tell us a little bit about that story. Matt is going to be our co-host today. Our buddy Matt Miller. As you can see, he's the
Hey, everybody.
unofficial co-host.
The
I don't
unofficial,
like this mirror thing here. I'm not doing real well. Matt's the unofficial co-host. I'm the real host. But Matt's joining us. I really appreciate Matt coming in. Matt wants to get some on this stuff. Matt and I spent about 30 minutes talking with Ray prior to the start of the show here, and what a trip, man! What a great dude, right? Lots of stories.
Ray's a phenomenal individual.
And we told him we had a little bit of time, so I think Ray clicked out, and we're gonna have to get him back on the line here. But it's really cool to be able to sit here and talk to him and tell these stories. He's actually down in Circleville, Ohio. We'll be down there with the Warrior Weekend to remember. Right there, I think, correctly, right? It's right. Yeah. It's down that way, isn't it?
Yeah, not too far away from there.
Awesome. So we talked a minute ago about what our contingency plan would be if we lost Ray. And
I think I might have to call Ray now real quick and see if I can.
I think we have to call him and get back on. Hey, buddy, you coming back on? But thank you for joining us today. We have a little bit in the chat box here with Joanne, Kate, and The Undertaker. Thank you all for joining every time. It's always a pleasure to see somebody waiting online to see us, to come in. It really keeps me going for the day, so thank you all for being there. For those of you that don't know, Kate runs our Cooking with Kate class the first Thursday of the month. She has successfully navigated 3 classes at the Sam Center, all full. So we're really excited for Kate and all that she's been doing with cooking. We have Save 22 and the Sam Center in Massillon. Actually, this one's in Canal Fulton where she's doing it now. So kudos to Kate.
All right, so I got Ray back on the phone. So,
awesome. Are we on the phone, or is he coming?
I told him to log back in. So, I'll go ahead and introduce Ray while we're waiting for Ray to log back in. And, so when he comes in, we can just bring him right on.
All right, stand by one. Got a couple things I got to get rid of. I got to get a drink of my coffee this morning. So visit groundforce.coffee and use code SAVE22 for a discount. Take your order down to $17.70. So groundforce.coffee. Thank you, Anthony Barney. And welcome to the Veteran Service Commission of Worcester. Sunday Porter out there does a great job with the Veteran Service Commission out there. We're really excited that she's showing Tuesday Talk out there. It means a lot to me. It means a lot to us. We really love it. Hey, look at that. First Sergeant Chavez. Hey, man, check it out. I got your mug. Bro. So thank you very much. All right. Go ahead and do your intro because it came in. So this week's deep dive, we're going to put up the screen real quick. Go ahead and read your intro for him there, Matt.
All right. I am proud to introduce Chief Master Sergeant, retired Ray Snedegar. Ray enlisted August 7th, 1958 in the United States Air Force, and he retired January 1st of 1990. With 31 years, 4 months, and 24 days of honorable service, Ray, served our great nation and has been awarded the Distinguished Flying Cross, the American Medal for Heroism, 4 Meritorious Service Medals, 11 Air Medals, 6 Air Force Accommodation Medals, 5 Outstanding Unit Awards, with 1 with Valor, 9 Good Conduct Medals, the Antarctica Service Medal, 9 Vietnam Service Medals, Vietnam Civil Action Medal, Republic of Vietnam Gallantry Cross with Palm, Republic of Vietnam Campaign Medal, plus 29 other awards and decorations. So it is my great pleasure to introduce Ray Snedegar.
So we're going to bring Ray on real quick. Here comes Ray. There's Ray.
Ray.
Good morning. Hey, so we're going to play a quick 25-second clip of Walter Cronkite briefing the nation on your... you cool with that? Start off?
Certainly.
All right, here we go, Bubba.
Seattle. Good evening. In South Vietnam today, a ghastly chapter was added to the pathos of war that has gripped that country for the past 30 years. C-5 Air Force cargo plane carrying 240 South Vietnamese orphans to the United States, the first in the government-ordered airlift, crashed in a rice paddy near Saigon just minutes after takeoff. More than half the children and as many as 40 of the 62 escorts and crew aboard were killed. Murray Frompson reports.
Whoopsie. So that was a rough day for you, to say the least.
Certainly, it was.
23,000 feet and the rear cargo door blows off. You lose pressurization. You drop 14,000 feet. You finally level off at 9,000. You end up crashing in a rice paddy, 300 souls on board. Take first minute on the ground. What were your thoughts? What were your emotions? What was going through your head? Because it looks pretty bad. I'm not going to lie.
Well, I don't understand how anybody survived that crash, other than those babies that were in the troop compartment. But when the moment after we crashed, I was hanging upside down in a relief crew compartment in my seatbelt, and I was listening for a fire and smelling for a fire.
Right.
Fortunately, the wings had broke off and went ahead of us, and they were burning way in the distance. So I unleashed my seatbelt, and at that point, I knew exactly where I was until I fell on my head. I fell about, I don't know, 5 feet and hit on my head. Got another concussion at that time. Then when I stood up, I was lost. I didn't know where I was at. So I had seen some of the other crew members running out the back. The airplane broke in two. The cockpit broke off right at the galley section for the crew, and I saw people running that direction. So I went out and stepped into the swamp. At that point, it was horrendous what I saw when I got out there.
Yeah. I'm gonna let Matt take this. So I'm gonna show a real quick picture. This is Ray back in the day with some of his.
That was taken right after the crash when they were putting us for awards.
No kidding.
I was 34 years old.
Wow. Were you injured? Did you have any injuries or just the concussion? What happened to you? How was that?
Concussions, and then I had my legs skinned up by bracing.
Oh, we lost him again.
And then when I got out of the airplane, body fuckers and living souls.
We're gonna have to, Ray. You're gonna have to disconnect and reconnect, buddy. Sorry, you're gonna have to do it. He lost you.
It sucks, because we were backstage, we were doing all this, and everything was going great, and then
Everything was working great.
Technology.
Everything was. Yeah, it is. The way it goes. Ray. What we have told is there were over 300 souls left, and they were Amerasian children. Here he comes.
So what was the
question? All right. There we go. Right?
There you go. You're back. Awesome.
Okay.
No,
did you hear anything I said recently?
Yeah, we were talking about the last thing we heard was getting out into the rice past the confusion, and that's kind of where you were. You stepped out into the swamp, and then we lost you.
Okay, and that's pretty much the end of the story. It was total chaos.
The story.
Well, and so I think I mentioned that later that I had injuries on my legs from sitting under a seat trying to brace myself. And I got another concussion when the crash was happening. The table in the relief crew compartment broke loose and flew up and hit my head, which probably saved my life because all the debris was coming out of the galley, the water jugs, coffee pot and stuff like that. And it was hitting the back of the table.
I just have to laugh. In the Air Force, would we say, yeah, we lost the serving trays, the coffee pot, the water jugs?
I was going to say it, but I didn't know if it would be the right time or not to say it. So
I overextended my body trying to carry people to the helicopters.
There were 144 infants survived that crash, and I have a picture of how they were right there. I don't know if you can see that, Ray. We lost Ray's video, but this is how they brought the orphans in.
Well, no, that's taken from another airplane, that
Wow.
airplane. But we didn't have anybody in cardboard boxes. We had them loaded on the floor in the cargo compartment, and all of those perished.
Oh my God.
Oh,
and
damn.
We had 145 babies. I directed who went upstairs and who didn't. I had 145 babies and 75 seats. There's 73 seats in the trooper compartment for passengers, and there's 2 for loadmasters. So I put 145 babies in those 75 seats, and 144 of those survived. And the only child that died up there, they all had a little ditty bag around their neck with a dollar bill in it and everything they owned, which was nothing. And
wow,
it was safety pinned to their shirt, and then had a drawstring around their neck. The safety pin pulled out, and the drawstring choked that child to death.
Oh my God.
That's the only casualty in the troop compartment as far as the babies. Now I had a passenger and one of the loadmasters I put on the airplane. He got killed up there.
So Ray, I've gotten to know you over the past 3 years. You know, you and I have communicated a lot.
Yes.
So this past Saturday, you sent me a text at 2:50 in the afternoon, and it, you know, basically saying today is the 51st anniversary of Operation Babylift. You know, you're getting a lot of calls and texts from the young ones. You know, what's that do for you? You know, in your mental health?
Well, it helps me. I cried when some of these kids called me. There's one that's an executive chef in Georgia, and she came in second celebrity chef at one time. She served 4 years in the Marines, trying to give back, and now she's an executive chef. And she called me, and I said, Nikki, and she was the first baby on American soil. You've seen this picture of President Ford carrying a baby off the airplane. That's Nikki Logan. That's who called me. And she has a signed photograph of that with President Ford. And she called me, and I said, well, Nikki, I was getting ready to call you. She said, you never call me. Said, I always call you because you saved my life. And I cried.
Oh.
I couldn't even imagine, Ray. I really couldn't. You know, just going through that experience, and then, but it has to feel good knowing that those babies remember, you know, the ones that got them out of Vietnam and you know, gave them a better chance at life.
Well, I'm friends with about 50 of these children, and I'm really close with about 20. And one of them I speak with every day. She lives in Mission Viejo, California, and
wow.
And it's another story in itself there, how she survived. But she was 5 years old at the time. She knew her name, and she has found her mother and her father now. Her father's deceased, and she found her mother through a half brother who lives in Montana, who had discovered his mother, had FaceTime with her, and she said, I found all of you children except my oldest daughter. He said, what was her name? He said, Knock Ann. She said, Knock Ann T. And that is Knock Ann's name. She knows her name. And she's been going by that name here in the States for a long time. With a friend.
Wow, that gave me chills.
Oh, yes.
Wow.
There's other stories about her that are unbelievable. But anyway, she called me, and Nikki called me. Susan Durkee, who was a 19-year-old girl on an airplane that had her ear cut off, and she was accompanying a baby back to Indiana. She was in part of Big Sisters, Big Brothers, and she called me, but the day after I got out of the airplane and was in the swamp, uh, she come walking up to me, and she said, "I'd like you to do me a favor." And she's bleeding on the side of her head. And I said, "What do you need?" She said, "I need my ear put back on." She handed me her ear and everything. And the only thing, I took my handkerchief and wiped it off, and the ear, and the only thing there was the earlobe and a gold stud in it. And I put that ear back in place. It's just like putting a piece of china back in place, and wrapped her head around it, wrapped a handkerchief around it, and she walked away with that baby on her hip. And then
That's incredible.
she saw me in the hospital about 5 or 6 days later. She walked out of an elevator with her head all bandaged up. And she said, "Hey, do you remember me?" And I said, "No." She said, "You put my ear back on." I said, "I remember that." And she said, "I was so embarrassed there." And I said, "Why?" She said, "I was naked from the waist up. My shirt got ripped off, and she didn't have a bra on. And my shirt get ripped off in the crash, and I'm standing in front of you naked from the waist up." And I did not see it. I was in such a state of shock. I didn't notice it.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it's
It's
crazy.
funny that
Go ahead.
you got it.
Yeah, it's crazy, to see, what your mind remembers and what it blocks out when you're experiencing a traumatic event.
Oh yeah,
There, you hear secondary stories and you're like, I don't recall that, but that's your brain protecting you
right.
from the traumatic injuries and the traumatic experience.
We were all in shock, and everybody kept coming up to me and the crew members and saying, "Are you okay, Ray?" And I go, "Yeah, I'm thinking I'm the only sane one here, because I'm looking at the crew members. They look like wild men." So yeah, it's amazing what the brain does and what physically you can do in a time of shock.
Yeah, yeah. It's crazy. And the thing that gets me is this wasn't your first crash in Vietnam. This was actually your third. You had crashed twice previously in 47, I believe.
Yeah.
Correct?
In 1963, we didn't have much security in Vietnam then, and the Vietnamese were guarding our airplanes. And we went out to fly, and mechanic didn't look in the cowling, and we had a satchel charge in the cowling. And I was looking out the window at number one engine when it blew off, and the shrapnel was going in front of me in the airplane. We came back around. We were going to land in a field out there, and the pilot decided he didn't need to land there. He could make the runway. And it's a good thing we didn't land there, because it was mined. But we came around to the runway, not foamed or anything. This all happened so quickly. And the fuselage made the runway, but the gear did not. And we were doing 360s down the runway on
Oh my God.
no on it. And that didn't even scare me. I mean, it happened so quick. Then when I got out of the airplane, I had to be held up because my knees were giving out on me. But
Yeah.
that didn't scare me. Well, I got shot down in a C-47 in 1965 on my second tour over there, and we were flying about 50 feet off the ground and dropping leaflets, try to get the peasants to give up, come over. And somebody had radioed ahead, and it sounded like somebody stuck a machine gun inside the door. And
Oh my
it was
God.
rat-a-tat-tat, and I rolled into the floor. And as I'm rolling into the floor, I see bullet holes opening on the other side of the airplane. And it shot out an engine, and we crashed near a special forces camp, and they came out and rescued us. And we spent the night there. And it's funny what you remember. We spent the night there with them before we got picked up the next day. And we watched an Elvis Presley movie that night. And it just sticks in my mind that we went to Elvis Presley movie after crashing. So
I think that's incredible that you remember an Elvis Presley movie after you just got shot. Like that's amazing. I mean, my stories don't even come to yours with with my aviation history. Shutting down on Christmas Eve and night, and where did I spend the night? Kandahar, right? Like that's nothing compared to the stuff you've been through, man.
No,
And
no, man.
your attitude amazing.
Let me correct you here, Matt. I have not been through anything like you went through at Keating.
No, that was John talking. So
Yeah, that was me.
Yeah.
I was the Air Force guy.
Okay.
So you know exactly what I went through with the coffee pot and the water jugs and just a different time, but still aviators, right? And you're still doing the job. And you and I talked before the show about just doing the job. And you've said that. I've watched several of your interviews. You've said I was just doing my job. Wow, right? Like, I mean, just wow. And that's who we are, right? Matt will tell you the same thing. Clint will tell you the same thing. Mike Thor will tell you the same thing. All these guys, they'll tell you all the same thing. We were just doing a job, and you and I spoke where we said we chose this person, right? We knew what could happen, and yet we did it anyway.
Correct.
Yeah, really, really incredible story, Ray. Really incredible story. Matt, what else you got for him, Bubba?
And that's a good segue, because Ray, you're saying that you were just doing your job, but in the eyes of myself, and I don't, I'll speak for John and all those babies that you saved, you're a hero. So you will disagree with me on that statement, but what do you define as a hero?
People like you that survived what
Ray.
I love Ray. We're not going to talk about me. We're going to talk about you.
No, we're talking about.
I don't take accolades.
Master Sergeant Ray Snedegar.
I don't take accolades well. So, you can throw them at me if you want, but I don't feel like I'm anything special. I just, as I said before, just doing my job.
Yeah, I think a lot of us are that way, Ray. We accolades. People died in stuff that we did, and I don't need an accolade for that, right? You're the same way. 144 infants got to live out their life in the U.S. because of the entire crew and the steps that you took. I know what it's like to be in an uncontrolled airplane until you get the control back, and it's a scary feeling. And you're in the back as a loadmaster. You have no idea what's going on up front. You have no, all you hear on the headsets. I do have a question for you. When you were in Vietnam, did you have helmets? Did you have kind of stuff, or were you just in the flight suit?
Flight suit and headset.
Oh my God! All right, well,
turning up.
Turning up. So back in 2014, you were able to go and return to the crash site. How did that change your view on history, and what was your thoughts going through returning to that site?
Well, returning to the crash site, I went with one of the babies that was on the flight. She was 9 months old at the time. She and I went back to Vietnam along with the flight medical director, and we were standing at where the nose of the airplane where I was at in the cockpit, and I saw an airplane landing at Saigon Airport, and at that time, she and I held each other. And I cried like a baby because that airplane was doing the same thing we were doing, turning toward the airport. And when they put his gear down, and when we put our gear down, the airplane quit flying. So we just leveled it out, went in straight, crashed. But we were standing there, and it was such emotional. That was a good trip for me. I loved that to go back to the crash site. I saw the tail section, which a farmer now has a memorial set up on it, and he maintains it. And we put pictures in it, incense, flowers, and fruit. And as of 2021, it was still standing there, and the picture we put in there was faded, but it was still there. So we just had we went to orphanages these kids came out of. We went to the hospital that I went to, Seventh-day Adventist. They admitted me there, and that's now an orphanage again, and it's an orphanage for only Agent Orange damaged children.
Wow.
And I took pictures of some of them, and then I deleted them after I got home because I thought nobody needs to see these. You know, it's
Yeah, I know. I know. There's certain things that don't need to be spread,
that's
right? I mean, the awareness is okay, but you don't need to see the graphicness, right? You don't need to see that kind of stuff.
no. And then if
Um,
we went to museums when we were back in Vietnam, and the housekeeper, the maid that we had that cooked our meals, and she said, "Why are you going there? That's communist propaganda." So the Vietnamese don't even attend the museums, and we paid 15 cents to get in.
15 cents.
When you enter in, it's
wow.
called the American War, not the Vietnam War. It's called the American War, and there's all kinds of propaganda posters there about how the Americans killed these kids and they shouldn't have been in this country, etc. So
Wow. Wow.
So
Hey,
Ray,
so go ahead.
so when the crash happened, you were in hostile territory, right, Ray?
what's that? We
When the
prepared
crash
for,
happened, you were in hostile territory.
yeah.
You know,
We landed on Fort Viet Cong soldiers on a second landing after we flew across the river and landed on 4 Viet Cong soldiers.
Oh, wow.
you know,
Can
So
you
not
imagine?
only do you have the crash, that just occurred, you also have to fear for your life, basically, because now you're outside the wire, you're outside the protected zone,
Right.
and so what's running through your mind, and regarding that?
How long were you on the ground before somebody came and got you?
Well, I was myself and an aircraft commander were the last people left the crash site, but Air America showed up about 30 minutes after the crash, and they
Oh, wow.
helicopters, and they had been at happy hour, and they were all drunk as the state of shock I was in. I could tell they were drunk. So I was so happy to see drunks show up. And the South Vietnamese Army Air Force showed up in their helicopters too, and they were stealing
Wow.
the uh, the kits out of the airplane, the first aid kits, and some of the juice and milk we had back there. And all at once, the guy came in the airplane, in the troop compartment, and he bellowed out an order. They dropped everything and they left. The general's office later, when I and the aircraft commander were in there, and apologized for his people stealing from us. It was a general airplane.
Gosh.
Yeah.
See, it's the stories afterwards, right? It's
Oh
these
yeah.
afterwards that are really the incredible part. How did they get 144 babies out of there? Was it all helicopter from Air America?
Yes. And I finally moved my way over to the troop compartment, and the flight director, the flight medical director, Regina Audi, she was the first person to first woman to ever receive the Cheney Award. She was sitting in the window there, passing these babies out. She had a broken back and a broken leg, and after we got all the babies out and put them on a helicopter, she come out of the airplane and saluted a navigator, a major. She was a first lieutenant then, and retired as a colonel, but she saluted a major and asked for permission to be relieved of duty, and fainted right there. And we put her in a
Wow.
helicopter, sent her off.
wow,
Wow.
so
That got
so
me.
when the crash happened, you didn't know what caused the crash.
And
No.
so, were you thinking that you were being attacked, or because
Well,
it wasn't for a few years later until the report came out that the
yeah,
door was the cause of the crash.
yes. Well, the aircraft commander yelled at me back in the relief crew compartment to get downstairs and survey the situation. So when I stood, they were still going down at that time. We went from 23.8 to 9,000 feet before we recovered. And we were still going down. And the door to the cockpit was gone. It had flew off and went down and hit a medic and cut his whole face off. And
wow.
My friend Mary Clinker, Captain Clinker, she was a nurse and she was tending to him. And he was part of her crew, and another guy was helping. But anyway, I go down the ladder. I look to the back of the airplane, and the only thing I could think of was spaghetti, because all the control cables had been cut when the door left the airplane, and two of the hydraulic lines. So all these cables were dangling, and red hydraulic fluid was pumping out of the tubes. So for some strange reason, I thought of spaghetti. So I got downstairs and I'm crawling uphill through these people, and the babies and adults strapped to the floor. And some woman was telling me, "My baby's gone. My baby's gone." And I reassured her the baby wasn't gone, but they under that strap. So several of these babies got sucked out, and one of my flight engineers got sucked out of the airplane on that depression. And so I get to the back of the plane, and there's a Discovery Channel did a documentary on us. I'll give you the link to that if you haven't seen it. I didn't go near the ramp as the shows in the movie, but I didn't get that close. But it was a jagged edge. It was ripped off, and both side doors were ripped off, and the pressure door was gone. And
Wow.
So I ordered back up to the captain, and by that time he had got it leveled out. And I got back upstairs, and I started to go back down to help evacuate those people on the bottom when we got on the runway. And as I started back down, a flight engineer sitting back in the relief compartment was screaming at me to sit down. And I thought, "You jerk! I'm working. You're loafing, and I'm going to go downstairs." Well, I first thought about was going back and cheering. So as I started back down the steps, he started in again, and the flight engineer on the panel grabbed me by the neck of my flight suit and pulled me back on deck. And he was still chirping and relief. So I go back there to have a piece of him. And as I get there, he weighs about 240 pounds. He picks me up by my elbow and he throws me into the seat at the table. And, you get on an airline and you can never find your seatbelt. Well, I found mine immediately and I buckled it. It was about, 6 to 8 inches in front of me. And about the time it buckled, we hit the ground at 320 miles, 280.
God bless it.
Yeah.
Wow. And so
And the pilot was accelerating because we were going down, and he was accelerating, trying to get it to fly again. And just as we hit the ground, it took all the main gears off, but the nose gear was intact. And we climbed again and flew across the Saigon River, which was lucky. We'd all died in the river, but landed on the 4 Viet Cong soldiers, and that's when the airplane came apart, and my mind went into slow motion. Everything at that point had been up in real time, but once we impacted the second time, my mind went into slow, just like a car crash. You're thinking real slow.
Yeah.
And then when about the time we got, and I thought the airplane was still intact, but the tail was gone, the troop compartment had come off and slid across the patty, which saved those 144 kids. And I was thinking, if this thing, once it got straight up, if it would just stop, I'd be okay. I'm still alive. And then I got to thinking, well, if it would just hurry up, because everything is in slow motion in my mind. And it didn't hurry up. And, it all happened in seconds, but to me, it seemed like minutes.
Yeah.
But
I to Matt a couple of times, and I'm like, dude, that first the Afghanistan or Locked On or whatever happened, that eerie silence, right? Like everything is quiet and your brain is processing everything going on, and it feels as if time stops. right? Like it just stops, and you're like, I got chills right now just thinking about it. You're waiting for something to
That's
react, and it's an eerie feeling. I pulled up a picture of the rear cargo doors on a C5. I don't know if you can see it, Ray, or not, but
yeah,
there
yeah,
it's a massive assembly. Right? There's 4 pieces to this door, two, a top and a bottom, and I haven't been able to read the report and figure out which door actually blew off first. Do you have any idea which one blew off first?
yeah. The one on the bottom, the ramp, when
The
it comes
ramp
up,
itself.
it ramp itself comes up, and
Wow.
it's locked by 7 locks on each side, and
Yeah.
the first 3, the forward 3 locks on each side are controlled by a bell crank. The last 4 locks
Mhm.
on each side are controlled by different bell cranks. And what happened was in this thing, the it had gone to Warner Robins, Georgia. We didn't take it down there. So another crew had picked up 105 howitzers to deliver to South Vietnamese, and
Wow.
and when it got back to Travis, it had like 16-hour ground time. So for some silly reason that nobody can explain, they had 10 or 12 airplanes sitting on a ramp. Well, one airplane needed a new belt crank. So instead of going to those other airplanes, the airplane that's ready to go and take the bell crank off of it, which is our airplane, and move it to the airplane B. And then they go to airplane C and take a bell crank off it, bring it back to A. I mean, none of this made sense, but it
Right.
takes 8 hours to rig that door once you do some kind of assembly on it. Well, it was getting close to approach time, and the general in charge of the wing, he called down and said, "Don't don't re-rig it. Just go ahead and close it manually a few times."
Uh,
Well, they found out later that these parts, the bell cranks, are not interchangeable between airplanes. They're not. You can't cannibalize them. You need to build a new bell crank for the airplane, and nobody knew this at the time. So the
right.
main crew put it on, ran it through manual, and probably cracked that bell crank. It was probably so many thousand inches too short.
Right.
They
Right.
they wrote it off. They recycled it 5 or 6 times, and they probably broke that bell crank a little bit each time. We never
Wow.
opened it again until we got to Saigon, and we opened the doors to unload the howitzers and put the people on. We had trouble closing the door. We got ready to go, and it would not lock. The light wouldn't go out, and we recycled it 4 or 5 or 6 times, and the light came on. It went out, so we were ready to go. Well, each time we recycled it, we probably cracked it a little bit more. So we closed the door, took off. 14 minutes later, rapid
Gone.
yeah, the door leaves the airplane, and
Wow.
and it takes the ramp most 3/4 of the ramp with it. It takes the side doors off. It and I went down.
Yeah.
It was a catastrophe.
Ray, so
At
was that your
destruction.
last mission in Vietnam that year?
What's that?
Was that your last mission in Vietnam?
Yes,
Yes.
yes.
Okay. So
And
let's
it
talk
took you a
about
couple of years. Oops.
No, you're fine.
Years for you to get back on flying status. Did you again?
Oh yes. I couldn't wait
Okay.
to get back. When I got back, investigation board early to go to senior NCO academy down at Gunner Air.
Yeah.
And so this was in April. I didn't get back in the airplane until September. And the first few missions I flew, it was devastating. If the air pressurization changed in the airplane or anything, if they moved the throttles, I would sit straight up because I thought something was getting
Yeah.
ready to happen.
Yeah. I
But
bet.
and I flew for another. I flew from 75 on till 89 through 89.
Wow.
And then I went to work for an airline and flew for them. Years.
So 16 years you after that last mission in Vietnam, you served
The United States Air Force in our great nation. Talk about those 16 years after the fact.
What's the question?
So for 16 years after that last mission in Vietnam, you served in the United States Air Force still.
Yes.
So, walk us through your last 16 years of active duty service, before you said, okay, I'm calling it quit.
Okay, I was in the wing level at the time of the crash. Within a year, I was promoted to the numbered Air Force level, 22nd Air Force. And then I stayed there for a while. And then I moved to Wright-Patterson because I wanted to get close to home. My parents were getting older. And I came to Wright-Patterson. I worked in the, I can't even think of the name of it now. It was the Air Transportability Unit. I figured out what things would fit in a C5 141 or C-130. And I did test loadings. I did a test loading of the a little submarine that Jacques Cousteau did. It went down to the Titanic. I did a study of it. Went to France to do that and figured out we could put that in a C5. I did all kinds of things. I was in a space lab. I worked space lab for about 5 years. I worked I helped design the trailer and test loaded the Hubble Space Telescope.
Wow.
Transported it to Florida. I did all kinds of different things, just outsized cargo till I retired. And I got I'm the only loadmaster that was working the loadmaster that ever got assigned high year of tenure. And the chief can stay 30 years. And then high year of tenure would allow you to stay 3 more. So I received that honor, and I didn't serve all of it, but I just got tired of traveling. After 30
Yeah.
years, I was just tired of going.
So
Yeah.
go ahead, John.
How did you know it was time to hang them up? Right. Like my story is, I was struggling whether to re-enlist or get out, and 23.5 years. I was at UTA. I was a reservist in my last 15 years, and I went to my career counselor, Kelly Turner, dear friend, and I was struggling with it. Right, like what do I do? What do I do? And she told me that, hey, you know what? You're gonna get a sign. You'll have a sign, and you'll know exactly. And that night, I called home, and my daughter, who was 12 or 14 at the time, said, "Daddy, every time you leave, whether it's for 2 days, 2 months, it gets harder and harder." And I put my paperwork in the next day. Did you have a defining moment like that where you just said, you know what, and said, you know what, that's enough?
The traveling, when I was flying, I was going 2 to 3 weeks a month. When I got to Wright-Patterson, they had all these test loads going on all the time, and I was the only person in the office that could go do the test loads. So
Yep.
I was on the road. I wanted to stay home with my family. My kids were growing up. I wanted out. But then I went to work for an airline.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I got out and I went to work for the FAA, so I was still in aviation. I was still going to airports. I was still seeing the
Yeah.
Right. I think once you get that aviation bug, you got to stick around a little bit, right?
Yeah, you do. You do.
It's hard.
So Ray, when I was reading your medals, the one that really stuck out to me the most was the Antarctica Service Medal. What were you doing in Antarctica?
We were resupplying them. Every year they had a resupply mission that goes down there, and I was flying 141s at the time, and I went to Antarctica. And me and another loadmaster flew every other day down to Antarctica, and the day I didn't fly, was the day the Australian tour airplane with the famous mountain climber on it. They were touring down there, and they flew into a mountain, Mount Erebus, and my loadmaster didn't see it, but hey, I was flying, and we went down and flew over the crash site, and that was a horrible sight too. It was, everybody got killed, and tried to rescue, get some of the bodies off the thing, and the helicopters were crashing, so they just gave up and said they'd eventually float into the sea. But when we were there that day, it had just happened the day before, and you saw all kinds of grotesque positions of people in the ice where it exploded, melted, and then refroze, and it was clear ice. You could see them in there.
Wow. Did you ever get to spend the night in Antarctica?
No. We never.
I think it's a C5 at Magordo, which is the air base down in Antarctica.
Yes.
And they actually land these aircraft on ice. It's called Operation Deep Freeze. It's been going on for many years. There's a unit out of Schenectady, New York, that used to fly with the skis and would land C-130s on the ice. This is a C-5 on the ice in McMurdo, Operation Deep Freeze. What is that site like? Like flying over the desert and trying to pick things out, but that is blanket white with how do you find that? How do you see that?
Well, every pilot that goes down there the first time has to have a pilot who's been there before, and they know all the points to hit the runway there. I've never flew a C5 into there. I flew 141s. They started C5s after that. We flew 141s without skis on them. Just land.
Oh my God.
But you couldn't leave the airplane there because we had to get out of there in a minimum time because the tires would sink into the ice. So
they freeze.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah. We're at Goose Bay, Canada in January one time, and it was minus 25, and we can only be on the ground for 2 hours. We had to move the airplane in less than 2 hours, and we had to refuel 135,000 of fuel through one of them little gas station hoses of about an inch and a half. It's cold at minus 25. I can't imagine what Antarctica was like, but
I got on there because I was walking around outside with a parka on and my face open, and I didn't think it was cold. I had gloves and everything on, but I got frostbite on my face, and now every time I go out in the winter, my face gets real red and it burns.
Wow.
But it was 45 below zero the day we were feel cold.
And that picture of the C5 and the picture of that C5 doesn't do it justice.
No.
Until you are in person of a C5, you don't really truly understand how massive those airplanes are.
Yeah, they are ginormous. Entire first flight can take place in the cargo bay of a C5. Yeah. Like, it's amazing how big that thing is. That's the first air on at the Dayton Air Show, actually, in 1978. That's the first aircraft we visited when we walked in, and that's the first time I saw the guys in flight suits and military aircraft, and that's the day I made the decision I'm going to fly for the Air Force someday. And I did. At 38 years old, I got my wings. Late in my career, I'd been a maintenance guy forever, flight line guy forever, and a chief master sergeant named Hank Palma up at Youngstown gave me a chance, and I got to become a flight engineer on C-130s at 38 years old. It was really, really an incredible experience. You got to fly on a lot of stuff. What was your absolute favorite aircraft to fly on? Because we all have one.
I like the 130. I flew.
Awesome. Hell yeah, you do.
I like jumping out of them.
I felt like I was airplane. I could get outside and make them back up and do all kinds of things.
Yeah. We could do all kinds of stuff on that thing, man. That thing was amazing. I loved being on that aircraft. I never thought I would because I came from fighters, right? I came from Wild Weasels, F-16s, A-10s, and then I did and I didn't think I'd like the C-130, but man, what a utilitarian aircraft. That thing it can go anywhere and anywhere. We could take off short runway. We could land short runway. I think the shortest I ever landed was 3,000 feet, 3,500. Right? We could take off in 1,000 feet. It was insane the amount of stuff that aircraft could do. And you flew those C-130s back in the day with three-bladed props, the A models. Those are the old school.
The E models. A lot of people
Okay.
flew the A.
All right.
I was in Vietnam, and I was flying E models.
Okay. All right. Well, I learned on the E model. If that if that tells you how far apart we are, I learned on the E model.
They're still building that 130, and it's 6-bladed.
Yeah. Yeah, and they're plastic almost nowadays, and they can separate the drives, and you don't have to spin the prop. You can use the thrust from the engine to move, and then re-engage. It's insane. The flight decks are all right. It's an extra 15 degrees up there now because nothing's analog anymore. They don't have an engineer. They don't have a navigator. They're up to J model stuff now. So just an incredible airframe. Really.
And you know, they have a jet that's as good as a 130 now, the C-17. It can do everything they want to do.
Yeah, them Gucci boys flying in that 17.
Yeah. Those 17s are nice. Don't get me wrong. I love jumping out of those airplanes as well.
It's like flying in a Cadillac Yugo.
So Ray, we're getting close to an hour. I want to appreciate you, and thank you for taking the time. I have one final question for you, and I'm pretty sure John will have a final question for you, and we'll go from there. Unfortunately, in the past couple of days, we've been experiencing or been witnessing, a rescue mission going on over in Iran for 2 down F-15 pilots. And you've openly spoken about your emotional toll of your mission. If the pilots were to hear this story today from you, what's one piece of advice that you could give those individuals that can also translate to someone like myself or John that's struggling with post-traumatic stress?
Well, you need to talk about what's happened to you. And I've done that from day one, and psychiatrists have told me that's a good thing. You don't need to bottle it up. So I went to all the crew members' funerals that on my crew. I speak about it around the country all the time, and sometimes with some of the babies. And if I'm going into a city to speak and I know one of the babies off the Babylift is there, I'll contact that person and plant them in the audience and bring them up. So, and that's a tearjerker there. Everybody is.
Absolutely.
But I would say those 2 guys that have been rescued, they need to talk about it with somebody. So just don't bottle it up. Right.
That's the biggest thing I tell people too, man. Let's get it out, right? And be when you're first doing it, be selective about what people.
Oh yes.
Right. You might think you're going to get going to be beneficial to you and help you out, but what you're really doing is just sharing shit, and that person has no idea what to do or how to respond or how to talk to you about the event. So finding other individuals crashed an airplane, have had to eject, have done the escape and evade stuff, another aviator, right? Those are the people that you want to talk to. Maybe not just me, having not been in a crash. I don't know what that experience is like, but finding those other individuals that have been through that kind of stuff and sharing that experience and knowing that there's somebody else out there that shares it. That's one of the big things that we talk about at Safe 22 is we just want to be available. We want you to know that we've been through some stuff and we're willing to share that stuff with you if you're willing to listen and share your stuff. So thank you today. Thank you for Ray for taking the time today. I really enjoyed our 30 minutes prior. We were cracking up on some stuff that we probably shouldn't share live, but I get to go spend some. I'm excited. I get to go spend some time with Ray at Warrior Weekend in August this year. Thanks to Matt and his crew over there, Team Fast Tracks and Blue Skies for the good guys. So I'm really excited to spend some quality time with you, share some stories, and meet you in person. So thank you for taking the Ray.
You're quite welcome. I appreciate this honor.
Hey, John, I was going to read some of the comments, but
yeah, go ahead,
for some
buddy.
reason my iPad refreshed or something, so I lost all of the comments. But I was going to share them with Ray. So,
all right, Ray, we did have some comments while you were talking. My boy Rick Chavez, another Air Force individual for First Sergeant, said, "Where'd it go? Mad respect, Ray. Incredible story. Our man, the Undertaker, who tunes in almost every week, says, "What a man! Thank you for saving those babies. You are a hero." The story is bringing chills to me this morning. Joanne states that an incredible story. Thank you so much for sharing and saving those babies, and welcome home. I don't know how much you got to hear. We talked privately beforehand. My experience, Matt's experience, has always been that we were always thanked for our service. We've never had to go through that era or that wondering if people appreciated what we did. My question to you before I let you go is, and we spoke briefly beforehand, it's because of you and veterans from the Vietnam War that us veterans from Gulf War and 1990 and up have what we have. So thank you on those issues and those things. How do you feel now, being 80 plus years old, having experienced that and seeing the transition of military support over the last 20, 25 years increase to such a state that it is in now? Are you bitter? Are you resentful? Are you proud to be a Vietnam vet? What's your thoughts on that nowadays?
I'm not resentful at all. I've never been. I'm proud to be a Vietnam veteran, and I serve all the time that I did. I love flying. I would fly to the grocery store if I could.
Yeah, me too. Me too. Me too.
I just love. It's safer than driving.
It is. It is.
Yep.
Absolutely, it is. Man, you give me chills. Again, thank you for your time. What a great interview. I know the people liked it, and we're gonna make up some clips and share them out. And I'm gonna let it go. I'm gonna stop right there. You have another appointment to get to. I'll talk to you down at Warrior Weekend to remember. Again, thank you for dealing with all the technical issues we've had today and sharing your story. It really means a lot to us at Save 22, and I know Matt feels the same way.
Thank you.
Ray, welcome home. Love you, brother, and I'll see you soon.
Love you, brother. I love you both.
All right, buddy. Love you, man. We'll talk to you soon.
Okay. Take care.
That was Ray Snedegar, retired Chief Master Sergeant, 30 plus years of service, 3 crashes, and first flight out of Saigon for Operation Babylift.
What a hell of a story.
What a great interview, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Like, well, I mean, just to talk to a man with all that experience in aviation, those stories, worked on the Hubble telescope. We didn't get to hear it today. Was the loadmaster in charge of figuring out how to put I think it was a MiG-25 that got repatriated, and how to get that onto the C-5 and bring it over. Just an incredible, tactically acquired. There it is. Right. And before we came on, he was talking about being in D.C. last weekend and the welcome home that they got in D.C. for Vietnam veterans that he got out with, and just a real down to earth, real cool individual who still gives back, right? Who's still in contact with all those.
Yep.
I say kids, but they're over 50 years old now, right?
Yeah.
Those people was April 4th was the 51-year anniversary of that. And,
Yep.
you know, I listened to an interview with him yesterday, talking about how it's fun, still relevant, right? That people still talk about it, that people hear about it. And,
when I got that text
man,
from him on Saturday, saying that it's the 51-year anniversary and he was getting phone calls from all the little babies, that gave me chills. I couldn't imagine that. I really couldn't.
somebody's going to come to you one day and they're going to say, you don't remember me, but you saved my life when?
Right.
You've been a paramedic, a fireman, all the other experiences that you have as well. And I think it's just who we are, right? We forego ourselves to go help somebody else, and that's exactly what he did that day.
Yep.
And
Absolutely.
he continues to do it now. He takes off as best he can. He's recovering from open heart surgery. Yeah, that's one thing we didn't talk about. Last week, the man had open heart surgery, and he's sitting here on the podcast.
No, last year.
Last year. I thought it was last week.
No, last year.
Oh, phew.
Yeah.
I feel
he was still in the hospital.
I was going to say, holy cow, that's one badass dude right there, man. Holy
he is
cow.
a badass. Yeah. But
Absolutely.
I was glad to have Ray on. I think he knocked it out of the park with his speech, and we can all pick something out of that and take it to move forward with our life and our struggles. So
I think so. I think so. My old man always used to say that somebody's got it worse, right? So you upset, right? But then you don't have time to. That doesn't mean don't process what happened. That doesn't mean push it down. That doesn't mean the emotions that you have. That's where I struggle, right? Emotional regulation, knowing when it's okay to cry, when it's not, when it's okay to be angry, when it's not. Those types of things. That's the emotional regulation that I struggle with. So hearing him say, yeah, man, I get teary eyed. Absolutely. I do. Right. Well, it's an emotional thing. You're a human being, right? We have emotions. Yep. Don't think that you're weak because you're crying. Crepe. I cried yesterday holding my granddaughter because she just looked at me like,
right.
You know what I mean? It's okay. You're not a wuss. You're not a wuss, man. You've been through some shiz and get back and get going.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm excited, man. I appreciate you being on here. This is fun having a co-host.
Hey, anytime you want me, let me know. I will be the unofficial co-host of.
No, we're gonna have to make you an official. We're gonna have to make you an official co-host.
I like the unofficial title though.
You don't want the responsibility. All right. All right.
I just get to come on and play. Do some talking, and then go about my day. I don't have to do all the.
You don't have to do all the junk.
Right. I don't have to do all the nitty-gritty stuff.
Right. Well, let's talk about what we got going on this weekend, because you and I are both going to be down at Virginia with the IHRA. Yep. You're going to be with Team Fast Tracks. I'm going to be with Lex June.
Yep.
Racing. We're going to done a really great where they allow veterans plus one to enter, free for the veteran, 50% off for the guest.
Yep.
It's all their national events, right? And at the IHRA owned tracks, right? You don't have to contact Save 22 tickets. You walk up to the gate, you show your ID, and you come. Drag racing is a completely different setup than Roundy Rounds and NASCAR and ARCA. Our pit areas are literally held up by privacy chains, right?
Yeah.
You can get right up next car. You can watch everybody working. You can talk to the crew, the team, the drivers, the sponsors, whoever's there. And Lex June does a phenomenal job of making time for any that come up and we introduce them to. You got to meet Lex up at Milan, which was his great his first win in the U.S., his first win in 17 years. And you're going to be down there this weekend as well with Team Fast Tracks. What does Team Fast Tracks have planned for this weekend should the weather hold out?
The weather's looking good. Hopefully the winds at altitude are in our favor this week. So opening ceremony on Saturday is scheduled for 11 a.m. And so shortly after the start of open ceremonies, Team Fast Tracks will be jumping with 2 skydivers. One will be carrying the 1,100 square foot American flag, and the other individual will be having the IHRA banner. So they'll be jumping around 4,000 feet. So they'll be in the sky for about 4 minutes, flying around, showing off what Team Fast Tracks is capable of doing. And yeah, it's going to be a great event. The weather's looking good, so hopefully the winds cooperate.
Yeah, it's unfortunate that being part of the team weather. Right? We had a beautiful day down there in Benson, North Carolina, and as soon as you guys got airborne, excuse me, winds aloft for at 25 knots, and that's just not going to happen. You're going to blow a mile and a half off course. It's just not something that you can do when you're aloft for 4 minutes. So unfortunate there. Hopefully down in Virginia we have some great weather, some calm winds, and we can see some skydiving performances by Team Fast Tracks.
Yeah, so looking at the Weather Channel right now for Saturday down in Petersburg, Virginia, 80 degrees, 2% chance of clouds, and winds are projected to be light and variable. So everything's
Nice. So
in our favor.
and it's a tad bit on the slightly breezy side. Joanne made something when someone you've helped thanks you, even as a dispatcher. Very cool that he's still friends and in contact with the babies as adults. What a beautiful thing. It is. It's a really incredible story. I think we've all gotten through some of those things where we've helped people out and don't know what happened to them. It's really great to get that feedback once in a while, and for him to talk to, he talks to one almost every day. He said,
Right.
That's pretty incredible. I think we'll need that. We all need that somebody that we can throw shit at once in a while,
yeah.
right?
And Joanne, thank you for your service as a dispatcher. In my eyes, you are a first responder. You go through some bad shit, and we appreciate you and thank you.
Yeah, I don't have any experience with dispatchers other than what I know with Joanne and Andy Stealth. Right, we got to take Stealth down to South Boston, Virginia last year for the Ward fundraiser at South Boston. He got to hang out with us for the day and experience the Burton boys, Burton brothers, Mr. Burton, the man John.
Mhm.
So we took them out for that. Joanne has shared a couple of her stories with me. Not, but I don't have any experience in that. You being a first responder, you deal with the dispatchers, right? You've had that kind of interaction with it. What is that like for you?
So the easiest way, for me to paint the picture for you, it's that love-hate relationship that the Army, the Navy, the Marines, and the Air Force all have. Dispatchers are handling situations prior to toning out law enforcement, fire, and EMS, and they have the EMD codes and the CAD systems that are teaching the 911 caller how to do CPR or how to do the Heimlich maneuver. And so they're potentially saving those individuals' lives way before I'm even getting that call. And, sometimes they hate us and sometimes we hate them because we give them attitude because they're giving us too many calls or, whatever. But the dispatchers are the guardian angels for first responders. If it
Awesome.
wasn't for dispatchers, when shit hits the fan, a lot of us wouldn't be around. They are the calm that pieces us together.
Yeah, absolutely. They're that.
At times,
They're that,
at times I hate them.
and that's just the way it goes. Like you said, it's that love-hate relationship. We all got the same job, right? We're all out to save the same people, but we all have a different way of doing it. And those dispatchers got to take that first horrific call, the chaos, the confusion, the shock, the panic, and they have to pertinent information out of chaos that they can share on to you guys. So absolutely, I do believe that dispatchers are part of the first response.
Joanne, if you're still listening, give me a thumbs up if you agree that you get immediately annoyed if I give you the double click rather than saying copy or Roger.
Oh, come on. We all give the double click. I don't feel like talking. Double click. I got you. It's all good.
But a
It's
lot
all
of
good.
dispatchers hate it. They absolutely hate that, and so we know which dispatchers hate it, and we do it intentionally sometimes to just give them that little poke, and
You got to get your digs in, man. You got to get your digs in.
So
Good
but no,
stuff.
this was fun. I appreciate it. And I'm glad we have such an amazing amazing audience, and and to hear Ray's story over and over again, I could listen to it every damn day.
I would agree. He seems like a great guy to just hang out with. Yeah, she said click. So yeah, she definitely does. That's funny.
Nope.
That's funny. So we talked about Lex June. We talked about the IHRA.
Yep.
I think Carson Brown is racing. No, Carson is not racing anywhere this weekend. So that's a rare down day for him. And Carson Brown Sports, they had a great weekend up at Rockingham. They finished 1-2 with Pinnacle Racing Group. And I think 7 car. The guys did a great job. They dominated first and second all day. It was a great 1-2 finish for Pinnacle Racing. Thank you to them for Safe 22 on the trunk, the deck lid. Really appreciate them and everything that Carson Brown Motorsports and their affiliate do to raise the awareness of Safe 22. And Katie says, another great one in the books. Always love my Tuesday mornings with you guys. Well, thank you, Katie. Thank you. It's not always great for us on the technical end, but we're glad the product that we put out does some entertaining and maybe some teaching and learning available out there. Thank you to everyone that tuned in. Carson Brown's next thing, I think, is Nashville down at the fairgrounds, May 2nd with the Cars Tour. That is our hike week, May 2nd. So make sure you go to safe22.vet and register for the hike in Massillon, Ohio. This week, May. We're just freaking floating around over here, Matt. What's going on?
Yeah? I don't know. It's your computer, not mine.
No, my monitor for the YouTube channel was incredibly delayed. I had to
okay.
refresh it. So we'll put the Safe 22 link over here in the chat. Not vet. Learn how to spell. Make sure you visit safe22.vet, sign up for the hub, register for the hike. When we have the availability to bring veterans to the racetrack, we'll absolutely put those on there. The way thing for us lately with the IHRA, we don't need to bring people specifically through Safe 22 to the motorsports events. Just show up. Right? It's already free. Come find us at the Lex June pit. The team never quit. They are. Oh, here comes Undertaker. Got to get his day in. So the Undertaker was a mortuary affairs individual, right? And 26 years as well. And he likes to say, I'm guessing I'm a last responder.
Sure.
I'm gonna say no. I'm gonna say no because
I don't know how to answer it. So sure.
I'm gonna say no because look, he's got to be that guy that stands there stoic and emotionally controlled when a family is burying a loved one, right? And I really think they got to be there. And you could have a good experience or a bad experience at that.
Oh, I thought you were talking about the mortician. I didn't think you were talking about the actual at the gravesite. Okay.
Oh yeah, he did all of it.
Okay.
Put them back, clean them up, put them together. Make them presentable. Do the cremations, presentations at the funeral home, things like that. And yeah, you know what? He struggled. He shares some stuff with me. And we'll
imagine.
Yeah. And then when it's done, just like you and I, certain triggers happen. Mm-hmm. Right. And, we had to work through a couple of those things. I think he's doing very well now. It's been about a year and a half. I think I've known Steve maybe a couple years. now, and I think he's doing great. And I'm really excited for him. He tunes in all the time over here. He's out in his wood show and his wood shop stuff. So you know what? He had to learn how to be retired, how to not get triggered by the phone ringing, how to understand it wasn't him. It's how we all are. I think we all are. Some shit that I did 10, 15 years ago, and it's not true, right? I can't. I cannot function that way anymore. My body doesn't work that way. No walkers yet. Not yet. Not yet. I don't want to be there just yet. I don't want to be there just yet. You know, but I mean, well, the nap, I'm not going to lie to you. The naps are coming more frequently than they used to. That's definitely true. I've caught myself a couple times a week. I got to go lay down, right? Like, it's okay. It's okay, guys. It's okay. What were we talking about? Carson Brown? No. Carson Brown. Yeah, Carson Brown will be at Nashville May 2nd. The awareness hike, May 2nd for us. Our golf out June 19th. It's on a Friday this year. That weekend, however, I'll be with the IRA and Lex June in Columbus that weekend. Lex will be running for the $1 Million to Win. So we'll be down there in Columbus. We'll be taking a couple guys that are huge supporters of Safe 22 to get that VIP. So really excited for that. What else we got going on? I think that's enough for you know. Yeah, I got it. We talked about Forest Coffee, the Veteran Service Commission. Hi, Sunday out there, everybody in Worcester. Thanks for putting us on today.
Yeah, and I should be back on in a couple weeks, maybe, possibly, if you have me back.
Yeah, I don't mind having you back. We do have a couple people that have submitted their questionnaires to be part of the show. Really excited for that. I don't know who we're going to get on, what we're going to do, how that's going to work out, but you know, that's the joy of doing Tuesday Talk, right? Is it's flowing. It changes, right? We started this as a way to talk about what Safe 20 does and where they've been and where they're going, and to share stories, to let you know that you're not alone, right? No matter what you think you might be feeling, that only you are feeling. I can guarantee you it's not true, right? There is somebody out there who can listen. So, yeah, kudos. Thanks for being here, Matt. I really appreciate it. I love this. I love the setup. Great stuff. Great stuff. Maybe one of these times we'll have a Tuesday Talk without any technical issues, but I'm not putting all my eggs in that basket.
No, I wouldn't bank on it. But now I'm gonna go sit in my recliner and cry and stare out the window because it's snowing and blowing right now. Yeah.
You're up northern New York, right?
Central New York, yep. Not too far from Syracuse. Yep. The real New York.
The real New York, yeah, kind of area.
So
love driving through.
But,
all right. Tune in next week. I don't know what we're gonna have, but if you're down at Dinwiddie, Virginia, it's Virginia International Raceway, right? It's all part of the same thing, I think.
Sure.
If you're there, stop by Elections Pit and say hi. If you're attending the IHRA event this weekend, hello, and we'll be happy to share a story with you. So, Matt, I'll see you Friday there.
Yep.
And we'll talk then, buddy.
Sounds good. See you guys.
All right. We're going to get it on out of here with the final of the back porch. There we go. So make sure you like and subscribe. Tune in next time. Same bat time, same bat channel.
searching for hope in the dead of night. No more hiding, no more shame. Face the fire, call the name. Lessons learned, stories told. Rise again from the ashes cold.